Welcome back to OTR. We've hit the roundtable discussion, and conveniently, we have a roundtable. We have Rob Gray. Well, Marianne Marsh is here with us. You see her on the screen right now. Rob Gray is with us as well. Guys, thanks for joining us. It's always great to have you.
So just a couple of minutes ago, you heard Donald Trump, and he was basically encouraging the gun lobby to take action. What did Republicans, and we're not talking about Democrats here, just to start with the Republicans here when he said that?
Well, gun right advocates are a very important part of the Republican coalition, but they're not just Republicans, they're independents and they're conservative Democrats as well. And those voters can turn things in swing states. They help energize the base, they help get voters out. But I think Trump made a big mistake because he stepped on bad news about Hillary Clinton. And if you look at this August versus last August, Trump has not dominated the news in a good way. He had his way with the news media last summer and with the other Republican candidates. He's had a tough summer this summer.
But the fact that he made that comment sort of suggesting he claims it was just for, he's talking about voting. Democrats took it another way, Marianne. And you even saw that expression on the face of one of his supporters behind him. He obviously took it the way a lot of people in the Clinton campaign are taking it, no?
And so did the Secret Service, who interviewed the campaign and met with them more than once, which Donald Trump said did not happen, which makes you wonder if he were president, what he would do to his chiefs and generals and others on other topics. But I think the real point here is that Donald Trump's now lost the benefit of the doubt with voters. And you've seen that in the polls. And it started with when he went after the reporter who had a disability. Then he went after the cons. Not so much McCain and others because they're political figures and people expect that. But when he went after regular people, regular citizens, and attacked them personally, you now have seen this titanic shift amongst white women with college degrees, which Republicans usually overwhelmingly win. That has been the whole shift in these polls. And it's because of these personal attacks by Donald Trump. Almost nearly impossible for him to win them all back. And that is the difference in this race right now. So as his poll numbers have plummeted, he's gotten more personal in his attacks. If he stays there, he'll get even more personal, more irresponsible, as we're saying. And if he goes up, he'll increase that too.
Well, Rob, let me use that. What both of you just said, and pick up on a point that you said in your answer there. You know, when he brings up a legitimate issue, like pay for play, for example, talking about the email showing the Clinton Foundation donors getting preferential treatment from the State Department when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, does it get lost in the mud? Is it too late for Republicans to make it a key factor in November?
No, I think it's becoming a key issue. I think it's a 10 out of 10 on the crisis scale for Hillary Clinton because it's not just Donald Trump and Republicans. It's investigative journalists. There are new emails coming out. It appears that access to the State Department was for sale to major Clinton Foundation donors. So I think it is a potent political issue. Can Donald Trump stay disciplined enough not to step on his own story? He hasn't proven to be able to do that thus far.
Okay. No, you've been saying no.
Come on, no one at this table here, we've all been on both sides of that equation. We've all gotten those calls and we've made those calls. Hey, can you tell me the name of? Can you connect me with? Yeah, we've all done it, okay?
Yeah,
it's done all the time.
For somebody?
Can you interview someone for a job? The meeting never happened in that email. The email everyone's talking about, that meeting never even happened. I don't even think the person the job asked got a job.
A billionaire who's given money to our foundation wants to meet with the policy person at the State House that impacts the country, that he has a financial and personal issue.
State Department, it never happened. Okay, it never happened. Okay, that's the point here.
But they were ready to make it happen. They were open for business.
It didn't. Rob, you and I both know how all of this works, as does everybody else at this table. You get the calls, you make the calls. What happens after that are judgment calls. But what the consistent factor here is, every time the Republicans had said, oh my God, the House is on fire, laws have been broken, go to jail, none of it's ever proven. So distraction, yes. Death knell, no. Not at all.
Let's move on to the debates. Donald Trump seems to be willing to do them, 3 debates. Will he and can he get his way like he did during the primaries, Marianne?
Well, I think I could see Donald Trump not showing up for any of the debates or maybe one of the debates. And the reason is, we all know one universal truth. Bullies are cowards. He was able to hide in the Republican primary debates because there were 17 people. Now it's one-on-one, maybe 1-on-3 or 2 or so. He can't do that. And I think Elizabeth Warren really hit him where it hurt the other day. He can't believe he's losing to a girl. And if he got on that debate stage with Hillary Clinton, the only thing he'd do was attack her personally, and that would backfire.
Could you see him not doing it, not doing the debates if he doesn't get his way?
I think he's going to have to do them. He was a big fish in a small pond last summer. He pushed around the networks. He pushed around the other Republican candidates. They were in a competitive stance in terms of network versus network, looking for ratings so he could pull it off. We have a presidential debate commission. It's bipartisan. I think it's tough to avoid that schedule.
The more important thing here, Rob, is the debate schedule was put out before the NFL schedule. And he said the NFL told him they couldn't believe it happened either. And I got a letter from the NFL, which never happened either.
Wow. Okay. Now let's talk about Boston's Mayor Marty Walsh. He was here this morning. We had a lengthy conversation. He has a lot on his plate: police contracts, racial issues, citywide development decisions. Marianne, what's his biggest problem? Is there one that is the biggest?
I think he did a great job this morning laying out all the things he's been working on and all the problems he's tackling. And I think he gets a lot of credit for that. I think the problem for him has been several issues that keep coming up that dominate all of his accomplishments
Is there one that's
and
the biggest
overtake
issue?
him. I think there are a couple, obviously, and they're all distracting, but he spends a lot of time in the communities, a lot of time in the neighborhoods, one-on-one time that has served him well. I think if they could just get on message and stay on message and execute that every day, they would do well.
Rob, does he have a biggest?
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is schools and keeping the middle class in the city and giving the lower class in the city hope to move up, and it's obviously been an issue that's in the news, and he's going to have to spend a lot of time on it.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.